Okay, it looks like we've had a few more people join, so we can go ahead and get started. And yeah, anyone else that joins, they'll be able to catch up with us. So, first off, I would like to say thank you to everyone for joining. My name is Lucas. I am a business development manager here at Rossum, fancy title for sales. But I'm here today with my colleague Tom. I'll let him introduce himself in just a moment. But what we will be talking about today, this webinar is focused on remote work. So obviously, we've seen some major changes in work environment, how we're going about working, a big shift from the office to home office. So as we're seeing going on some maybe 3 or 4 months of this, this is starting to become the new normal. And I know for us at Rossum, we are transitioning back into the office. But we're finding now that there's quite a bit more remote work. Even when we are moving back to the office, it's a bit of balance of both. So we want to delve into a bit of kind of some of the issues with remote work and how we can make ourselves more efficient. And if this is going to be a part of our lives going forward, how can we make it work? So yeah, thank you guys for joining. I'll pass it over to Tom and get things started.
Right, good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone, wherever you are. My name's Tom. I'm an automation consultant here at Rossum. I'm actually in the unique position of never having met any of my colleagues here at Rossum, as I started just at the beginning of April, which is, I guess, the kind of deepest, darkest days of lockdown. What do I do? So as an automation consultant, very simply, I try to establish whether we can at Rossum can fulfill clients' expectations. I do this by finding out as much as I can about people's companies, about their specific data capture requirements, by acting as their first point of contact at Rossum. And then once I've done this, I pass it over to one of our business development managers, which one, of course, is Lucas. Okay, so today's agenda, we really want to keep this quite informal and also as interactive as possible. Myself and Lucas will be sharing some of our own experiences from working remotely over the past 3 or 4 months. And also we'll be conducting a series of polls or kind of mini surveys, I guess you could call them. We'll be asking you a series of questions and about various aspects of remote work that you may have experienced as well. While we obviously want to promote the idea of remote work, we realize that the sudden shift or radical shift in attitude and the way people work over the past or since the COVID situation arose has presented significant and numerous challenges to companies. So this will be the first thing we'll be discussing. Once we've done this, we'll be moving on to the more positive aspects. At Rossum, we believe that the three fundamental ways in which Rossum can help your company is through improving the productivity of your workforce and then saving you both time and also money. After this, myself and Lucas will be briefly describing how both Rossum and other sort of cloud-based solutions fit into all of this. This will include a very short demo of the Rossum platform in action as well. And then finally, we'll just round it off with a Q&A session at the end. Okay, first of all, a very simple question for the first poll. Are you still working remotely? Lucas mentioned how right now at Rossum, yes, we are primarily working from home with the opportunity of at least, I think, up to 10 people being able to go into the office on any one day. So we fall into the third category. And actually, funnily enough, in the last remote work webinar we held in March, I think 100% of the attendees were purely remoting from home. So it'll be interesting to see what the results of this one are.
All right, so it looks like the results are in. I see that most of us are working remotely, at least some combination of remote and office. I have a feeling that this is pretty common across most people at this point. Certain areas are opening up. We can get back into the office, but I think that there is quite a large percentage of the task or workforce is still remote. So this is good. I think this is relevant and then hopefully it'll be useful to you as well. So let us continue. Okay. So some remote work challenges that we see, I'm sure you guys have will be able to relate to some of this as well. I know it's very personal to me. I was actually switching into a sales role right when the quarantine started. It was, I saw this stuff in a really intense form. I would say the first one, accessibility to information and resources. Um, in my experience, this was a matter of trying to get information, to get questions answered from the experts in our company. When you're working in an office, it's just a matter of usually walking over to where they are and asking the question directly. When you're working from home, that it makes it a bit more difficult. We're on Slack, on different channels, trying to reach out, get these questions answered. I found that when I was moving into sales, there were many questions I didn't know the answer to, and it did slow down the process of getting those answers. So it was definitely one challenge that I faced personally. Another could be miscommunication. I know that when you're working from home, you're typically communicating via email or phone. And sometimes it's really hard to read the tone, the subtleties, and the connotation when you don't have that face-to-face or that personal interaction. Like for example, if you have a coworker that's stressed out, they send a bit of a brusque email. If you're in the office and you can see them, they're stressed, then it's probably not that big of a deal. You can kind of just understand they're stressed. But when you're working from home, it does sound a bit more hostile. So you do have to kind of navigate those sort of those communication channels. And of course, separating work and personal life. I think this is one we can all relate to, especially people that have children in the house. For me personally, I have all sorts of little gadgets that call out to me throughout the day. So it is one way you must keep yourself quite a bit more disciplined when you're trying to work among all these distractions. Also, social isolation. I think just loneliness, especially if you're an extrovert like Tom and I. It does get a little bit lonely when you're spending all day, especially if you live alone. And one other piece, it's when you're not in the office, when you're not in like a physical team setting, it does kind of generate or it does take away from that sense of belonging. So like I have from time to time felt like my contribution maybe wasn't quite as valued as maybe it would feel if you're personally in the office and you can see the smiles on your coworkers' faces. So it's definitely something I think many of us are dealing with. The distractions at home, I kind of touch on this in the previous one. I think one thing I would like to add as well is kind of making that switch from just when work is over to be able to turn it off. I know that in my experience, I'm working with people all over the globe, so their work hours don't really exist. And you get a little ping on the cell phone, you have an email come in, and you feel kind of obligated to answer it. So I think it works both ways. And then results-based tracking, this is actually an interesting thing, more from a manager's perspective. So you can imagine if you're in the office and you're managing and you see the employees, they're working hard, their heads are down, you know that they're working. When you move into a remote work scenario, you kind of lose that oversight, sort of that natural understanding or observation that your team is working. So you do have to switch into results-based tracking, which I know can sometimes be stressful, especially if you're not the fastest worker. So it's a piece of remote work that I think can be stressful, and hopefully we can offer some ideas on how to make that a little bit more bearable. Okay, I got one more poll, so I'll go ahead and get that going. Just bear with me for 1 second, guys. Okay, so what has been your biggest challenge when working remotely? Communication, technology, productivity, distractions, unplugging after work, staying motivated, lack of human contact. Or if you're one of the lucky ones, no major challenges, would be pretty nice. I'll give you guys a second. Okay. So it looks like, yeah, unplugging after work took the cake in this one. I think we can all relate to that. It's a bit hard to put away work when it's sitting next to you 24 hours a day. Also, communication and distractions. I think, yeah, we can all relate to that. Whoever says no major challenges, I definitely envy you. You must really be enjoying life lately. So good on you. All right, let us continue.
Great. So now we'll move on to, I guess, the more positive aspects of remote work. Now, for me personally, living in London is one of the world's great metropolises. The lack of a commute, or the lack of the commute has been absolutely unbelievable from my point of view. In my previous job, I found myself, I think, on average, spending 2.5 hours, so not 75 minutes each way, getting to and from work. And also just living in London as well, the actual cost of traveling on public transport was absolutely extortionate in my view. So this has been absolutely transformative and made a world of difference for me. And I'm sure anyone who lives in a big city knows exactly what I'm talking about. This is obviously one of the main ways you can achieve the better work-life balance, I guess, with the lack of the commute. Next is when I think of flexibility, really I think of many things. Obviously, we touched upon the commute already in a way that that allows you to space out your work more, gives you more working hours if you wish, and allows you to be more flexible in terms of setting your task for the day and organizing your timetable. Another way I think of flexibility, or I consider flexibility, is actually kind of interchangeable with the freedom and independence, which is mentioned underneath. I guess everyone has their own way of working and of working, essentially working out how they can be the best employee or worker they can. So working at home, also even with the flexibility of being to work in different workspaces, in different rooms at your home, even in your garden, rather than just sitting at the same desk every day next to the same person. This gives them more freedom and independence to control the way they work. Freedom and independence, I think, is also relevant when it comes to the actual management of employees by the employers, as remote workers essentially force their hand in having to essentially trust their employees more to complete their tasks on their own time, and to be the best employees they possibly can. Now, for a variety of the reasons or the factors I've just mentioned, the statistics actually back it up. In a recent survey conducted by FlexJobs, this found that 75% actually of the people surveyed said they felt more productive working from home. Not only that, actually 83% of people surveyed said the office wasn't at all necessary for them to actually feel productive. So this is really one of the main ways, I think, one of the most tangible ways you can see how remote working could actually become the new normal, not just in the short term, but also in the long term. In terms of measuring the productivity, not just in terms of feeling, I guess, in the personal aspect, there are actually also practical ways of doing this. We have here, tracking time, obviously. As I mentioned, also organizing your timetable, so task management, and also the organization of project management as well, and the completion of those. We've listed here 4 different applications, all of which start with T, which is somewhat confusing, so I apologize for that. But all these are either apps you can use on your phone, so you have 24/7 access to these, or they are very easily integrated applications with your web browser on your desktop. Are we going to be sharing the slides, Lucas, with the attendees and giving them access to different websites that we've listed here?
Yes, good question. So we will be sharing the slides afterwards. So you will have access to all this. You have the list of these time trackers. So definitely try them out if you guys are interested. Yeah, so you'll have all this information on hand. Okay, let's get the last poll going. Do you guys feel productive working from home? Let me get this running for you. All right, so let's share the screen again. It looks like everyone is feeling very productive working from home. So that's good. I'm glad it's been a smooth process for you and you guys are able to be productive. It's definitely good news. So I suppose we can view this webinar as how can we make it even better. We'll have a few suggestions going forward, but definitely glad everyone is enjoying working from home. Okay, so yeah, improving productivity, the key factor in all of this. Number one, just to keep communication flowing. So this is something that we're really trying to focus on at Rossum. I think we've done a pretty good job of this actually. So I guess in addition to just the normal like Slack, email communications, it is beneficial to actually structure the communication into the schedule itself. So I think pretty much all of the teams here at Rossum are doing daily stand-ups. Where we can get an update, a bit of visibility into what everyone was working on the day before, and what they're going to work on today. I think it builds in a bit of accountability into the schedule itself, as well as kind of feel like you're part of the group. Everyone's still working. You're not isolated on an island. So in addition to this, we do virtual coffee breaks daily. So every day at 3 p.m. We have a couple rooms people can jump into and just chat for 15, 20 minutes or so. I think it's a really good way to just check in and almost get like a reality check just to see that everyone's kind of still there. We're all still working. So it's an easy one, but definitely I think it takes a lot of the stress out of the job. It kind of breaks up the routine. We're also doing weekly meetings. This is, I know on the sales team, this is pretty important. We set like weekly tasks, obviously what improvements that we want to set, and we can assign that throughout the team so we can have some sort of like larger objectives that we're working for, as well to just keep track in where we are in meeting those goals. So I think it's a good way to keep things regimented as we go. And then we do have a couple things not listed here that we've actually done that I think have been really, really cool. So we have some actually meetups outside of work. So we've had like virtual happy hour, which I think is popular across companies. Go and then crack a beer or a wine while on Zoom and just chat it up. Kind of, you get used to the remote interaction, but without any stress. It's really cool. And actually, last weekend, I was ashamed that Tom wasn't here in the Czech Republic to join us, but we actually met up on Friday afternoon and did a long hike out to a local brewery and stayed there and had kind of a team building event and hung out. It was really good. It was the first time I've seen everyone in the office in the same place in quite a while. So I definitely recommend if you have the opportunity to physically meet some of your coworkers, it's a nice breath of fresh air for sure. Also, keeping the same schedules in the office, I think this has actually personally helped me very much, is just starting at the same time every day. I have a routine where I'll go and check the emails, make sure I have an understanding of everything that's on the plate for today, make a list, to-do list, and just sort of map it all out. However you would normally do it in the office, I think it helps to retain some sense of normalcy. If you can keep a routine when you have such a dramatic shift in work environment and patterns, I think is one way to really anchor yourself and keep up the productivity. So yeah, definitely I highly recommend this one on a personal level as well. And then cross-team collaboration. This is a really interesting one, beyond just keeping communication flowing within your team, but to also check in, see what the other teams are doing. So we have actually had a couple people move teams and be able to contribute to other teams. So for example, we have an AI researcher that's helping in marketing, and it's brought like a really fresh perspective into marketing, because we know that a lot of the people that we're marketing to are experts in AI. So just trying to get that feedback from an expert's perspective and how can you communicate that effectively. So that's been one really cool way that we've done cross team collaboration. We also have a guy on our front end team is now working with the solution engineers. So it does help, I think, maintain a perspective and sort of be able to make improvements that you might not make when you're just working with the same people every day. And finally, the Zoom fatigue is real. There's some articles, studies about this. But I think this is one thing is to really manage how much time you're spending on Zoom, whether with the camera or without. It does tire you out, mainly because with Zoom, you're trying to hold a conversation without all of those minor social cues, those nonverbal cues that come so naturally when you're talking face to face. I know I'm on calls pretty much all day, and you're listening to the sound of people's voice for a really long time, and it is tiring. So some ways is just to, and one thing we're thinking about doing at Rossum is actually having it 1 day per week where there's no meeting scheduled, where you can just get down and really get into a rhythm. But if that's not possible, you can do your best to limit the video calls. Some things you can like move the screen to the side so it's not directly in front of you. Actually makes a big difference. Or just take breaks in between calls, or start the call, just have a bit of small talk, chat about something other than business. Helps you ease into it. Or you can just stretch, a little exercise, eat something, I don't know, whatever makes you feel good in between calls. But I think it's really important to kind of ground yourself, and it's easy to wear yourself out if you just push through it all day. So one of the ways to cut costs and ensure accessibility, I think that when you have an on-premise solution, essentially something is running on your own server, it is difficult to maintain when no one is in the office. Sometimes, like if the server physically goes down, then it's and you don't have it in the office, so they can really cause issues. So moving to a cloud-based solution actually makes it that your data is accessible while the team is working remotely. So this is something that we focus heavily on at Rossum is to kind of demonstrate the value of a cloud-based solution. I think that this is the sort of the change that we are seeing in most work environments now, is that are moving into cloud-based solutions. You get the automatic updates. It's just everything is kind of a bit more instantaneous than an on-premise solution as well. And in the case of document processing, we can, by moving to a cloud-based solution, you can actually reduce the total cost of operation by up to 78%. So this is, in a lot of ways, just by using the cloud, we're eliminating a lot of that extra noise that comes with on-premise or even like physical operations when you're passing papers around. So I think that it's definitely the trend that we're moving to, and it's something that we focus heavily on at Rossum. So I guess in the more specific sense and more particular to what we do at Rossum, we are trying to change how AP is done in this remote environment. I know that a lot of the people that I am talking to that are expressing pain points about how are we managing our accounts payable when we're all working from home. We have these papers that are stacking up. We have these huge disruptions in our workflow, and we're basically not able to do it unless we're physically in the office. It's just how things always have been. But if we need to switch into a remote scenario, then this is one area that I think is really important to look into how you can improve. And this is something that we try to help here at Rossum. So we can go paperless quickly and easily. So I would say nearly all of the uploads to the Rossum platform are done by digital or scanned PDFs. So we are trying to make that push into just using digital documents, at least from an OCR perspective. It helps with the accuracy. But I think overall, from an operational standpoint, going paperless, it just makes it really easy to keep track of everything. You can send these things instantaneously and process them. as well, also creating one entry point for all documents. I know I've talked to some clients we've onboarded that were physically passing papers around the office. They were getting invoices, documents sent from a variety of different channels. Things were getting lost. So this is, we're trying to simplify this process, move it to just one data entry point. You upload your documents, they get moved into the platform. They're processed automatically. You guys can review the information, but it's all pretty much done in one place. And in that vein, we can sustain the operations with a distributed team. So it's just a matter of logging into the Rossum platform. You can see all of your documents are there. They've been automatically uploaded. So yeah, you can essentially work from wherever you'd like. I had a conversation the other day that he said that his one of our clients, that his AP specialist is now able to process many of the documents. Apparently it takes a bus to work, which I thought was pretty cool, but he does his work on the bus. And I think that's pretty cool to be able to do that. And also to get actionable insights into team performance. So we'll go into this in just a moment, but being able to track your reporting, to understand the KPIs, what's working, what needs improvement. This is key to really improving the efficiency of the workplace. So I'll go into this. We do offer a pretty robust reporting dashboard, but I would say any tools that you guys are using or looking to pick up that's more of a cloud-based, definitely look into to see how the reporting is done, because that oversight is really, really critical. So yeah, reporting and performance tracking. This is essentially the screenshots of the Rossum UI. So I can actually go ahead and show you guys how this works right ahead. So we can see the Rossum UI here. And this is what you'd see in the trial version. If you guys haven't already signed up for a trial account, I definitely recommend it. It's free. You can process up to 300 documents per month. Just upload them. See how the AI engine should be able to. It extracts 48 fields just out of box. So if you're processing a small amount of documents, this could actually help automate your business by itself. But while we're here, we can take a look at the dashboard itself. So with our dashboard here, and I think with other tools you should look at, they should have something similar as well, because it's again really critical. But you are able to select say which queue you want to monitor or draw statistics from. So here we just have them split by region, mostly for demo purposes, but you do have that ability. We can choose date or which users we have, so you can get really down into the granular data. But we do offer 6 KPIs in our dashboard. So one would just be the usage. So we can see how many documents were imported, exported, deleted. We can adjust this by time period. It's I think just an overall good tool to be able to understand how heavy the document processing is, and help you to maybe forecast if you are anticipating any growth or noticing any trends. We can also look at the time. So this is essentially the turnaround time when the time it's from when you upload a document, process it, and export it. So this is one that we definitely want to see a downward slope. And you do see as the engine learns that it does usually take less time. Also, as the human operators get familiar with the Rossum platform, it does tend to reduce pretty quickly. We can also look at the corrections per document. This 39 corrections is pretty high for Rossum, but this is because I am demonstrating how to make corrections. So hopefully, if you're uploading some documents, so you can keep that quite a bit lower than that. But again, this is something you can monitor. Our goal is to have these corrections go down, 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 till hopefully at the end of the day, I mean, our long-term goal is that this engine can read everything with 100% accuracy. Perhaps the technology is a few years off, but we are hoping to get there. On time versus late, again, if turnaround times are critical to your performance, it's built in 24 hours by default, but you can customize this. So it's really easy to tell what is hitting the turnaround time versus what's missing it. Time per document. So this is like the actual time spent reviewing the document. So again, this is something that we're looking to reduce as time goes on. But if you see a spike somewhere, it really is a clear indicator to just go ahead and look at that. We do have a customer success team that will monitor this as well, so we can offer suggestions on how to improve it, and hopefully get the performance at peak level. And of course, like time and corrections per field breakdown, so we can go in and see a bit more details about the percentage of times a certain field had to be corrected, and the average time spent reviewing that field. So this is a really easy way to isolate where those pain points, where those inefficiencies are, and to really focus on those. If you get the dedicated AI engine, can be customized. It benefits from machine learning. So this is like one major KPI that we focus on, and we can really hammer out those areas and make them a bit more efficient. So yeah, I definitely encourage you guys to upload some documents, see what your own performance is. I definitely encourage you to get in touch with us as well. Tom, his job is to basically discuss your experience with Rossum, and then to try and figure out how we can make it better. So yeah, we try and take a hands-on approach, and we're very conversational guys as well. Oh, Tom, are you back?
Yes, I'm back. Very sorry, my internet very helpfully decided to go down. So yeah, thank you very much, Lucas, for stepping in so adequately.
No worries.
Yeah, so hopefully over the course of our webinar today, we've at least partially convinced you that remote work is the new normal. I think from the results of the survey earlier, where all of you essentially said that you feel like you're more productive working from home, that you feel the same way. We certainly do at Rossum. We recently conducted a survey amongst the employees, basically asking them how many days per week they would ideally like to be working from home. 38% said they would like to be spending 3 days working from home, and another 21% said they would even like to spend 4. So as such, we're essentially allowing all our employees to basically be able to choose when they go to the office and when they don't. And also this allows for us to spend more time in the office for meetings and social interaction. I think 87% of our employees stated that the aspect they were most looking forward to when just going back to the office was unsurprisingly socializing and being with their friends and colleagues. And actually, just below in the bottom of the slide here, you'll see the results of a recent survey performed by Gartner. They asked numerous chief financial officers if they expected at least some of their employees to be working from home permanently, so 5 days a week, and 74% said yes. So really, I think this demonstrates not just on a wide scale that attitudes towards the way people work have rapidly shifted over the past 3 or 4 months, certainly.
Cool. All right, so that pretty much ends our end. We would like to field some questions. So we do have a Q&A bucket that you guys are more than welcome to ask any questions into. So let me go ahead and open that up, and we'll just wait for a few minutes. If you guys have any questions, just go ahead and pop them in here. All right, I see a question from Valerie. Does Rossum sync with QuickBooks? So we have actually built some integrations with the tool Zapier, which will actually integrate directly into QuickBooks. So I think this is probably the easiest way to integrate Rossum. Can be done pretty automatically and pretty cheaply via Zapier. So we do have a link on our website that explains this in a bit more detail. So Valerie, I can make a note to get back and send you over a bit more details on that as well. Okay, and it looks like David, you had asked about accounts payable. It looks like Tom wanted to answer this one, but I'm not quite sure how to get him on it. Oh no, I lost the question. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you, Tom. You
Yeah,
dropped.
I can answer David's question. Sorry about
Okay,
that.
go ahead.
Yes, David. To answer your question, we can process other documents. While we do primarily focus on the AP process, so invoices and receipts, that's what we were founded to do back in 2017. We have since developed, I guess, a higher level of machine learning, which has allowed us to move to other types of semi-structured document. We have a sales presentation which we can share with all of you. This outlines kind of where we're at right now in terms of the documents we're processing. So the most common we deal with is other type of documents, is shipping or logistics documents, typically with very complex line items. We've also have partnerships with real estate companies, so dealing with property documents. Purchase orders are also very typical, utility bills and things like that. We would like to be able to go onto, I guess, the legal, government, banking sectors as well. While I don't think necessarily there will be a problem with actually extracting the data, I think the problem will be more with actually the sensitivity of the data and ensuring that the cloud solution is actually viable for those particular sectors. So that would be the most succinct way I can answer your question right now.
Okay. So yeah, looking at, seems like those are all the questions we had for today. So if you guys do have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to email us. We do enjoy fielding these questions and sharing the knowledge. And actually, a lot of times we learn things from you guys as well. So yeah, I would say thank you guys for joining. If you're interested in learning more, please go ahead and sign up for a trial account. It's like I said, it's free, no credit card or anything. You just upload documents, see what the AI does with it. I think you'll be pretty pleasantly surprised with how far technology has come. And then, yeah, if you want to get in touch with us, you can fill out a contact us form. I'll send you over to Tom or one of the other guys on our team. And we can set up a call, discuss the use case, your needs in detail, and we can give you a bit more information on how we can meet those needs. So yeah, I appreciate you guys taking the time tonight to spend it with us, and we're definitely looking forward to hearing from you guys in the future. So yeah, I'd just like to say thanks again from me and Tom, and you guys have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you guys are located.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.